Hey guys, what's up? I missed you so much, but I'm back with fresh energy. I'm ready to rock. My first review for 2020 will be for the awesome topping D90 DAC that I couldn't wait for testing out and hearing out for myself. I knew that topping was brewing something new about 1 year ago, and in 2019 I knew already that this is the topping D90 flagship DAC that just entered its final polishing stage. But before going deep into this review, let's unbox it first. Let's see what's inside this package. As with all topping products, the D90 came double boxed, and the smaller box, I mean this one, has an insane amount of foam for extra protection. So as you can see, a lot of it, lots of it. So inside you will find a warranty card, you have an after sales service card, you have a user manual, okay. You have also a power cable, an adapter for us Europeans, okay. You also have an USB Type B cable, a Bluetooth antenna that you can screw on the device itself. You have the much needed remote control for us speaker files. This is a very nice addition. I'm very glad it comes with a remote. And obviously the device itself. Here it is, very heavy for this size. I think it looks beautiful. Very heavy, I think. There is one thing that I want to show you really fast. So its user manual actually contains actual audio measurements made by an Audio Precision AP555X. So here are those. You can find almost everything. So you have your RMS level, your total harmonic distortion plus noise, your FFT spectrum. You have even a measurement difference between all digital filters. If you're into that, topping got you covered. It is a rare sight nowadays seeing manufacturer posting actual measurements and real technical specs without a single buzzword or audiophile snake oil like jitter killer, noise eliminator 9000, dynamic range multiplier version 7.0, or many other funny names. Topping is all about pure specs, numbers and measurements, and the evil scientist in me is super pleased. In terms of design and build quality, topping adopted the same enclosure the X7 Pro is having, and I loved that one quite a bit. What is there to love in a simple black box, you might ask? For starters, there isn't a single visible screw on any side. You can spot them only on the back plate or underneath it. Another thing I like is that it has the same width as the benchmark HPA4, and these two became the best buddies in the past 2 weeks or so because of that. They look really nice together and they make a great team on an office desk. D90 feels on the heavier side with such a small footprint and having 1.4 kilograms or about 3 pounds of weight. I feel that its case is a little bit thicker than usual, but to me D90 looks simplistic, has a clean look, you might even call it elegant looking. The case is beautifully crafted on a CNC machine. As with the X7 Pro, the rubber feet are placed in 4 individual carved spaces on the aluminum case itself, so you can be sure that those feet will not move an inch if you are repositioning your DAC quite often, as I do. I like that it has rounded edges, I like the flushed buttons on the faceplate, I like the satisfying click sound they make when pressed. The buttons are firmly attached to the device and are not wobbling around. All in all, I have nothing to complain in terms of designs and looks. In terms of controls and connectivity, the front panel is really simple. The on-off button on the left works as an input selector, and the longer press will turn it off or on. The up and down buttons on the right will control its preamp volume level, and if you are using it as a pure DAC, please leave it at 0 dB for the best performance. The OLED screen in the middle will show all the important information as the selected input, output, the sample rate, the PCMe or DSD data stream, and the volume position. On the back, all the usual suspects a balanced DAC should have are present. So you have your RCA, your XLR outputs, USB Type B input, a coaxial and an optical inputs, and some fancier inputs as AAC and my personally favorite I2S input via a HDMI connector. Please do note, this is not an HDMI input that you can use with your TV, media box or video player. This is just an I2S input that is just using an HDMI connector. For the I2S input you will need to use an external SPDIF interface that can output an I2S data stream. An important thing to know is that if you want to unleash the full potential of D90 you will need to use the included remote. With it you can select from 6 digital filters that are working on the hardware level. You can select 3 brightness levels, you can select the desired input and output, the volume position. If you press the center button, it will change the output to RCA only, to XLR only, or to RCA plus XLR at the same time. But if you plan on using just a single output on the back, I strongly recommend changing its output on that particular one without engaging both of them. By doing that, D90 will operate cooler and will be less prone to noise that might come from the other interconnect cable. In terms of tech specs, the star of the show is obviously the newest and the highest performance DAC chip by IEM, the AK4499 that Topping put inside it. This is a very special chip, and I will explain you why. First of all, it is the first commercial DAC chip that challenged the mighty ESS 9038 Pro and surpassed some of its specs. Secondly, AK4499 has the biggest die size or surface area of any chips made by IEM. If you are into computers, you probably know how important is the die size of a CPU or a GPU. A bigger size means it will have a higher performance and in the process will consume way more electric power. Same applies to DAC chips. As strange as it might sound, bigger DAC chips means better performance and much higher power consumption. Compared to the former AK4497 DAC chip, the pin number doubled from 64 to 128, the die size increased and the power consumption increased as well. AK4499 is also the first IEM chip to be current driven and not fully voltage driven. It eats current for breakfast and implementing 2 pieces of it means dissipating a lot more heat, using a much bigger power supply and doubling all the components around it. In simple words, it would use a much bigger case and the final assembled unit will be double the price. Since Topping is trying to make high performance DACs at affordable prices, for the moment a single AK4499 design made a lot more sense to them. But who knows, maybe sometime in the future dual AK4499 designs will be released for them as well. I hope that will happen sooner than later. Now here's the interesting part. This particular chip is a quad channel design, meaning a single DAC chip can produce a true balanced output. For comparison sake, a single AK4497 couldn't do that. The clever part is that Topping used 2 outputs in parallel working as a single channel. By doing that they squeezed the best out of this silicon. I'm quite impressed. To let the DAC chip breathe and work at its maximum potential, 2 femtosecond crystal clocks from Accu Silicon were used, and those 2 are basically controlled by the Altera FPGA for the best results. Apart from this, the USB receiver is the latest one from the XMOS, so you can be sure that USB connection will be noise and glitch free. Moving on to Bluetooth chip, this is the flagship one from the Qualcomm. It's called the CSR8675, that is capable of receiving all modern Bluetooth codecs as SBC, AAC, aptX, aptX HD and LDAC. A small change from DX7 Pro is that the LPV op-amps are not socketed anymore, but are soldered directly on the motherboard. So DIP8 op-amps were replaced by SOIC op-amps, so no more op-amp rolling for you, but sincerely very few DX7 Pro users rolled op-amps in it, so it sounded already impressive in its stock form. Okay guys, I'm dying to have a serious listen to it, so I will just press play, lean back for a few hours and just enjoy my time with it. I evaluated the D90 performance in a speaker-based setup, but also in a headphone-based setup. However, truth to be told, since I'm working full-time in my office, I listened to D90 mostly connected to the benchmark HPA4 and then to a trio of planar magnetic headphones. So I'm not that easily impressed when it comes to audio sources. I listened to more than 20 last year, and out of them all, probably only 3 of them created me goosebump moments for me. But D90 is easily in the top best 3 DACs that I tested at my place at any price point. I will just start by saying what I didn't like about all IEM designs that I listened to about until now. So absolutely all AKM designs, be it from Topping, from Aoun Audio, from Xduo, from SMSL, from FIO, and so on, have a slight mellow approach to music reproduction. They know how to involve you with their musical wizardry, that intoxicating flow, that naturalness, with that impressive holography and note placement around the room. However, they never properly punch me and slam my body like how a very serious ESS-based Sabre design did. They never properly shown me a clear sub-bass note and a very good sustain for a second or two. This is the sole reason I am still using the Matrix Audio Element X that is staying at my side no matter what. It can be gentle, but it also can be a wild beast unleashing fast, energetic bass notes that strike me really fast. This is the first time when I can say the same about an AKM design. So D90 is fast, it is articulate, it hits you like a train when it's needed. It doesn't roll any sub-bass information, and my usual pugilist music like electronica and rock started throwing punches at me. So I finally felt a crazy amount of energy and impact. Finally I can listen to my rock tunes without feeling that something is missing from my music. In this respect, D90 is sounding like a grown-up, balls-to-the-ball DAC with authority, with its chin up, and know how to impress a music aficionado like myself. So finally an AKM-based DAC with slam, with speed, with impact. The end must be near, I think. So the best part that I loved about all AKM designs is the ability to present special cues about around the listener. So I don't mean just a wider soundstage than usual, not at all. I mean that every single note is like floating individually to the other one near it. So the gap between all those musical notes is bigger. You feel that there is just much more air in the room somehow. So with D90 that feeling is somehow multiplied, and I'm pretty sure that I'm hearing the airiest performance in a Delta Sigma DAC that I've heard so far. I'm hearing more air even with lower quality recordings, and there is much more of it compared even to my reference Element X. As painful as this sounds to me, this is the ugly truth. So D90 is without a doubt the airiest DAC I listened to at my place, with the most layered sound, with the deepest depth and most well spread out soundstage, I think. If you want to feel every vibration of every note, if you are wondering yourself if this bass note is one-noted or has multiple layers of it, then I think that D90 is the right tool for you. It will dissect and show everything there is to hear. I listened to The Pale Emperor by Marilyn Manson. This is not a record that I enjoy a lot, but I was always thrilled by the technical aspect of this recording. So for a metal rock release, I think it sounds damn impressive. So from the first notes, a thought never really left my mind. I checked the recording, I checked the gear again. It sounds very 3D, very outside my head, very much so that I thought that Tidal Hi-Fi desktop app was updated with 360 audio files that its mobile app is having for a few months now. But that wasn't really the case. The sad truth just hit me again. D90 is just sounding wider, it's sounding deeper, more holographic than my own 3000 USD DAC unit that I'm using right now. So any music I would play, D90 will always unfold it like candy in front of me. So it grown on me because I can now listen to even to crowded and upfront music with ease. So D90 makes that a lot more approachable. I can chew that pill much easier. So again, I'm very impressed by it. Listening to the legendary BB King, The Thrill Is Gone, is like pouring milk and honey directly into my ears. So it awoking so many emotions, so many feelings. There is so much emotion left waiting to be heard and felt. So everything just flows much easier towards me. I can't believe I'm actually listening to a 40-year-old recording. It sounds like it's happening right now, so alive and so natural. Moving on to modern versions of jazz like Zen Funk of Nick Barch-Ronin, a band that I'm very fond of. You need time understanding them and appreciating them, but when you do that, you will not feel well again without them. This is how I feel. So their drummer and their saxophonist are very good friends of mine, and their stories always fascinated me. So D90 is somehow creating order where everything is just chaos. So I don't know if this makes any sense to you, but I can see the beauty where others will see just a mess. So Ronin is quite unusual since it never has a chorus, so from the start to the end there is no order in their music, and somehow it sounds so familiar and so strange in the same time. So these guys are using only musical instruments, including lots of hidden and small details that maybe a lower tier DAC might not even show it to you. So D90 is putting everything in front of me on a plate, and it is like, here's everything and listen to any sound you want from this plate. So I'm not even closing my eyes to hear every layer and every micro detail. I'm actually quite astounded we have this right now at such an affordable price, and I really like where audiophilia is going. Me gusta. Moving on to some electronica mixed with some drums, with some bells, and basically anything you can imagine, like Chemical Brothers' Hana. The impressive part this time around is actually the perfect timing of any notes, the speed and impact, and the final kick D90 is presenting to my whole body. So former D70 DAC from Topping didn't impress me a lot when it comes to bass. So it was fine, but not really very good, I think. So I think that D90 offers a lot more of it. So a much better control, a much needed improvement in terms of pace, rhythm and timing. D90 just feels like a race car by comparison, and it can behave as one. D70 on the other hand can't really keep up with a faster pace. So I think that bass heads out there will be impressed by the D90 and by its ability to move large amounts of air in an instant with an impressive start and stop of the transducers, be it headphones or speakers, doesn't matter. So moving on to faster beats, D90 is like pressing on the gas pedal somehow, changing the state of mind of the listener. So obviously that hang banging and toy tapping will surely follow, together with a wild smile on the face. So D90 feels like that type of movie where you would just laugh, you will cry, you will feel good, you will feel sad in a span of 2 hours. So it played tricks on me, and it surely will play tricks with you too. For me, D90 is definitely a genre master, I think, that plays exceptionally well everything from relaxing to soothing tunes to fast executed and wild slamming bass riffs. So I think that it has just a perfect blend of musicality and technicality without skewing the frequency response at all. So I'll briefly go through the frequency response, and I will just mention that D90 has some impressive bass in terms of quantity and quality. So this time around I felt that it goes really low, awakening those low intensity hums and rumbles that only a very good source and amplification can offer. So in all seriousness right now, up until this moment, only the Matrix Audio X Saber Pro and Element X were the clear and undefeated champions when it came to bass response. So I'm not a bass head by any means, that is not true, but if it's there, I want to hear it and I want to feel it. And those two basically offered me the best sub-bass and mid-bass performance. So I think that D90 is up there with both of them, with at just a fraction of the price. So if bass information is important to you, then I think D90 will unleash the full force of the low end. Besides going low, I feel that it has a very detailed type of bass. So if you hear it pulsating, you hear it vibrating a lot and thumping just a right amount and not more. When it comes to mid-range, D90 is absolutely phenomenal. It's impressive, and there is not much to say about it. So I'm listening to a lot of instrumental music like blues, jazz, rock and so on, and always D90 delivered everything that I wanted. So it can show low level information. It can, I think that guitar plugs have the right amount of decay. So the violence always grabbed my soul, and the voices always sounded authentic, full of energy. I personally don't like V-shaped type of sounds. To me, the mid-range is the most important part of the frequency response, because we as humans hear 90% of the day only the mid-range, and obviously it's mandatory to have lifelike and an excellent mid-range performance. And I think that D90 is exactly like that. So it sounds absolutely impressive in terms of mid-range, that is for sure. Moving on to the treble area, I think is done in a quite smooth fashion, so very pleasant somehow, and I can hear everything crystal clear up to the highest registers, so without feeling that a bright note will soon hit me, so I should prepare myself, I should clench my teeth. That will not happen with D90. D90 is somehow very detailed, very airy sounding, even past 16 kHz area, and yet it is very lifelike and very unoffensive, I think. So when I'm going to a groovy concert, for example, I hear a lot of treble energy, a lot of treble information, and yet all that is pleasing and all that is not bothersome at all. And I think that D90 is very much like that. It is very close to the real thing, I think. So D90 as a whole has a really extended frequency response, so I didn't hear a drop in or a rise somewhere in the frequency response. Just a full-bodied, very textured, very detailed presentation, exactly how an audio source should sound every single time. I will spare you time with comparisons with topping D70 and DX7 Pro, but I will just say that the D90 is in another league compared to the other two. I still think that the DX7 Pro is a very fine and extraordinary DAC and headphone amp combo, but as a DAC only unit, I think that the D90 pulls ahead on every key aspect. However, I compared it with my reference $3,000 Matrix Audio Element X, but since I don't want to make this video super long or boring, you should check out my comparison on my website. There is a link below. Going on into the conclusion, with every new release, topping would raise the bar of what affordable and high performance means to me. And I think that the D90 didn't disappoint me at all. On the contrary, it opened my eyes and opened my mind how good a digital audio source can sound at such a low price to pay. Was I offended by sounding about on the same level with my reference Element X? Not at all. I'm actually very glad this happened, and I envy all of you that will experience it for the first time. To make a much sweeter deal for you, I partnered with SMSL Topping, and I prepared a 10% off discount that you can use on the AliExpress store. So please use the link that I put below, and at checkout please use the Sound News discount code. This code will expire at the end of January, and it is limited to 100 units. If you ordered it from the official store, again I put links below, I was assured that 10% off will appear at checkout until the end of January. So act fast if you want to have one at that discounted price. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed my review. My full in-depth review is waiting on my website. In case you want to support this channel, please subscribe to it, and thank you for doing that. And as usual, listen to my music, be positive, and I'll see you soon. Cheers guys, bye bye.